This is Annie Wilder, and I just had a blast with Ken, Maria, and Kevin on the Still Unexplained Files. Check it out.
There are things that wander the void and drift through our skies that do not belong to the light of day. Cold, lifeless radars tracking phantoms, ancient shadows waking up in the dark. We pretend we understand this world, but we don't. We are not alone. Step past the campfire, leave your certainties behind, join in and know that you are not alone. You are listening to the Still Unexplained Files. Let us look into the dark together.
There is a line where the physical world ends and something far stranger takes over. Most people spend their entire lives clinging to the safety of daylight, convinced that the things that go bump in the night are merely shadows, creaking floorboards, or overactive imaginations. But what happens when the haunting isn't just a fleeting encounter? What happens when you don't just visit a haunted location, but live inside one for a quarter of a century? Tonight on Still Unexplained Files, we step into a realm where spirits aren't just figures in folklore. They are roommates, adversaries, and unexpected allies. We are joined by author, screenwriter, and paranormal investigator Annie Wilder, who spent 25 years living in one of the most notoriously haunted homes in the country. From capturing highway hauntings and trucker ghost stories to translating authentic fear into award-winning screenplays like Gone, Song, she has documented the fine line between the haunted and the hallowed. Open your mind, question what you thought.
Thank you, Kevin. What a great introduction. I'm really happy to be here, and I have not done an interview for a long time. My last interview with you was 10 years ago.
Was it 10?
Yeah, I looked it
Oh,
up.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I've done a few since 2016. But when you said paranormal investigator, I'm like, is that me? And I thought, well, I guess I could be described in that way because I investigated within my own home. I mean, I lived there and it was always a puzzle to be solved. So I like that. I'm a paranormal investigator. Yeah.
You got a new role.
That's right.
Put that on your resume now.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right. So I got to go straight into my first talking point. Living in a haunted house for 25 years. 25 years. And you document this in your book, House of Spirits and Whispers. So what I'm looking at here, Annie, is after 25 years in a house full of spirits, do you believe haunted houses choose their occupants? Or did you inadvertently open a portal that invited these entities in?
That's a great question. Literally at the closing, the daughter of the old man who'd lived there said, the house chose you. And I don't know how it works in other places. It probably works in a variety of different ways, but for sure, I feel I believed her then. And after living there for 25 years, I believe it even more. That house was already filled with portals. I think that what I brought to the house and the spirits who came and went, and all the other things that came and went, was curiosity, respect, appreciation. And I actually knew when I bought it, I was pretty certain that there was a ghost. And I was pretty certain that it was the spirit of the old man who had lived there before we bought the house. And but I loved the house so much, and his energy did not feel like evil or anything like that. It just felt heavy and kind of gloomy. And I saw, it was a Victorian home. It had been turned into a duplex in the 1930s. I found this out later. And when I looked at it in 1994, it was a triplex. And it was the back apartment where the old man had lived that felt the most haunted. And so in that apartment, I saw, when we walked through the first time, religious medals above the doorways and windows, and palm fronds, and all sorts of things that were familiar to me because I was raised Catholic. And I mean, at that point, I still thought of Leon as the ghost. And I just thought, okay, well, the ghost was Catholic too, so we have that in common. And so that made me feel more confident. Also, my kids were teenagers at the time, and I don't think I could have moved into that house alone. And I could not have moved in with young children because I would have been too worried. But when we moved in, my daughter was 16 and she was a punk metal girl with blue hair, and she built her own guitars. Yes.
I like her already. I like her
Yes.
already.
She's actually going to a show that's out in Denver in a week, or I don't know when the show is, but it's Five Fingered Death Punch or something. So,
Five Finger Death Punch, yes.
Yep.
she has a corporate job. She does auditing. And yes, she's going to a show called, I love that. And then my son at the time was in a full-blown Elvis impersonation phase where he kind of entered the character of Elvis and stayed there for 3 years. And we had a piano, so he played the piano. And I thought, if anything, the spirit, the ghost, might want to leave after we moved in. Not because he was bad, but because if he had been there to get some peace and quiet and kind of hide away from the world, that wasn't going to remain the same. So yeah, no, I forgot did I answer your question? Sorry.
I think you did.
Do you know how old the gentleman was when he passed away?
Oh, I should know that because I actually I got the title to the house. And so I printed out the obituaries and went down to the history room in my town and printed out the obituary. Well, I looked for any information on the house's previous owners, but what I found mostly was obituaries, because for most people, if you've led a good life, the only way you get in the newspaper is when you die. So I believe he was an old man. So I would say probably between 70 and 85, something like that. But yeah, I learned more about him. Well, no, I'm gonna wait till you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Continuing here, is it possible that living alongside spirits for decades alters a person's own aura or psychological frequency, effectively turning the resident into a magnet for the unexplained?
Oh, that's a great question too. I do believe that I was changed in every way by living in that house. I believe it was a synergistic relationship, actually, because the house, when I bought it, and this is the only reason I could afford it, was pretty rundown. Leon, the old man who had lived there, was a carpenter. That was his profession. And so the house was in really solid shape as far as the important things. It did have outdated wiring, but he was very frugal. The more I learned about him, the more I could relate to him, because he kind of reminded me of my father. Leon was German Catholic. He was very frugal, and he took care of things that had to be taken care of, but like there was still knob and tube wiring, and a cable in the back porch that was hanging down. And when my dad walked through it, and my dad was also frugal, he's like, don't touch that. It's live. And it was attached to a big Frankenstein, like, I don't know. So we had to get that updated for insurance reasons. But I do feel, so when I bought the house, I was like, I do feel like the house almost had like a sleepy magic that I tuned into, but it was everything I wanted. It was hardwood floors and bay windows and tall windows, an open staircase. It had hidden corners, and it was so cool. And so what I brought to the house, again, was kind of like respect, curiosity, appreciation. I took care of the more decorating type things. I wanted positive energy. I wanted energy to flow, because as the house had gotten divided up, I don't know how familiar you guys are with feng shui, but I totally believe in it because we took down a couple of temporary, not temporary, but walls that I'm sure Leon had put in a really skillful way to turn it into a triplex from a duplex, because he did not destroy the architectural integrity of the house. And so it was very easy to take down some walls and just having the house feel like a single family home again. Felt that improved it a lot. But we painted, I redid the hardwood floors. When I looked at it with my realtor, there were heavy curtains and, the old heavy shades, and, in the summer kitchen, which had been Leon's kitchen in his apartment, like the stove was from the 40s, refrigerator, I think was something like, what is that? Did you guys hear that noise?
I've been hearing it.
Okay, I have no idea what it is. This house
You've moved out of this house. The house.
Yeah, I had to leave it. Oh, one of the hardest things I've ever done. That was 2019, a horrible year in my life, a really tough year. And I could not believe that I was going to have to leave my house, because I was so certain that I was supposed to be there and it was my house for the rest of my life. And actually, getting back to your original question, I actually feel like my house's identity and my identity became so intertwined, or I don't know. It was a great mashup. Like, I was certain I was going to stay there. But my neighborhood was really going downhill. And my partner, Dudley, had a massive stroke. It changed our life. That's when I stopped doing the haunted tea parties and the spirited schoolhouse events that I was doing. And so I stopped doing interviews. We were focusing on his health. But while that was going on, my neighborhood, which had always been a helping neighborhood, so the old part of town, which I loved, by the railroad, by the river, and there'd always been there was a home for runaway girls, and there were homes for people with developmental disabilities, and halfway houses for people, and rental properties, because there were so many large old houses. But that was one thing. It was like there were getting to be more and more rental properties that weren't being cared for. And then we put in a women's shelter, which was a good thing, and some other very low income housing. That's all good. But then it was getting to the point where they were going to put in homeless shelters and drug treatment things right in the town, and right in homes. And it was starting to tip. It's like, guys, you have to have a residential base of people who live here and, are going to be out doing their gardens and doing their flowers. So we owned my house, and then Dudley had a large duplex at the end of our block that we had been renting out for, 5 or 10 years. And so these two properties were big investments for us financially. And so I fought for 3 years. And finally I realized it was not going to turn around, and it was heartbreaking. But I sold my house to a friend. She was already in the neighborhood. She wasn't planning to leave, because I didn't want to. I'm like, how am I ethically going to sell my house if I don't want to live here? How can I put it on the market for someone else? And another thing I noted, sorry, we're getting away from ghosts for just one moment, but that most of the houses, my block, everyone left except one person of 9 or so houses. And who was buying the houses for the most part was single women, single moms. It's like, because that's all they could afford. So I left. But my friend bought it. I brought her over to, meet Leon, and she's also good with energy, and I thought she could handle it. And so I felt like if I hadn't sold it to her, I don't know how I would have been. So
that's good to hear.
Yeah. Before we talk about your departure from the house, when you realized some of these entities were a genuine threat, what kept you from packing up and running out the door on night 1 or whatever?
Well, on night 1, I didn't know I had any allies in the house as far as house spirits. Leon became a primary, just like an ally, a friend. I considered us by the end, and by probably 3 or 4 years in, I considered us like partners in caring for the house. Like he cared about the house and he cared about our family. I cared about him and his family, and I cared about the house. And so the way that I saw it was Leon, once I got to know him, then I'll get back to the original question. Like in the spirit world, he had more access to knowing what was going on in this very energetically, very active house. And so he could handle things in the spirit world immediately before I could perceive them. I wish I were more psychic. I did become much better at tuning into energy in that house because I felt threatened for the first, year at least, and then on some other occasions after that. And then Leon also literally helped me in the physical world because there was somebody in the neighborhood who was kind of a colorful guy who remodeled homes and things. And he was on my porch one day and he was showing, I wasn't home. He was showing some people that he wanted to remodel their house, my porch, as an example of something that he could emulate. And while he was on the porch, two of the porch railing spindles went flying off and he got scared and left. And I'm sure that was Leon getting him off the property. So that was Leon handling things in the spirit world and the physical world. And then I did the same thing. Like in the physical world, I kept the energy positive in the house with fresh air, with keeping it clean, with cheerful colors, with even when I started hosting paranormal investigation groups, and I never asked anyone. It was always people coming to me. And then I would go to their website, I would check it out. I had some ground rules. They had to treat me with respect, they had to treat the spirits with respect, and they had to treat the house. And they could not invite anything in that was not already there. So, and I also do Reiki. So that's like healing prayer energy. So that's working from the physical world in the spirit world. And I also just prayed and things like that. So Leon and I were allies. We became allies working on all levels of the house. Now, getting back to your question, I think when I first moved in, I didn't know I had any allies from the house spirits, but I knew that my family and spirit were allies. And so that is that. And I was like, I really wanted to stay there. And we found out, I can't remember if you and I talked about this before, Kevin, in 2016, but there was buried treasure in the house. And so once we found that and gave it back to Leon's family, I was like, oh, we're golden. Plus, when his daughter told me at the closing, the house chose you, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a ghost, but he likes us. But then the first encounter I had with him, I was like, wait, does he like us? Because it sounded, the pounding in the walls sounded so angry and so loud, and it was just reverberating. It was just like it was like bouncing off the walls. And I was in my room and my kids were in their bedrooms, and we moved in on April 15th. I remember that because it was tax day. And so it was probably, we'd been there a week or two when he did this. And I thought, keep in mind, I was like in my 30s. I'd never owned a house like that before with radiators and stuff. And I was like, is this the radiators maybe kicking in? And then I'm like, wait, is the furnace on? Like, I had no idea. But before I heard the pounding, I had actually heard I had heard like a woman's voice. And now I do feel like I can really identify spirit voices really well because they generally have a hollow metallic quality. It's very odd, and I don't think that anyone can, maybe somebody can emulate it. But when you're in your own house and you hear this, it's a very inhuman voice. So I heard a voice, and I was very scared because it sounded like it was coming from my daughter's room at the end of the hall. And then I couldn't understand what she was saying, but I could hear talking, with like normal conversational pauses and things like that. I couldn't hear anyone answering her. And the thing that scared me the most about that, or well, the voice scared me, but also what additionally scared me was, wait, that's not an old man. And also we had assumed he would stay down in his apartment, you know? So that was scary.
Of the three of us, I think it's probably safe to say I'm probably the residential skeptic. So I've got to ask the skeptic questions,
Sure.
Annie. So just play along. How do you differentiate between true paranormal phenomenon and environmental triggers like high electromagnetic fields, structural acoustics that often plague older homes?
As far as people who are skeptic, one thing I have always maintained, I never try to convince anyone of anything. So I'm very comfortable with people believing. Well, I lived in that house for 25 years and I heard old house noises like creaks and things. But these poundings, sounds of glass breaking, things like that were really unnaturally loud for one thing. I dated a physicist for 6 years while I lived in that house, and he experienced some of the haunting things as well and could not come up with any explanation. And I was very pleased about that because it just verified for me that this stuff was happening and it was freaky and weird. And as far as EMF, I don't know. I know that people came in with EMF meters. I don't know enough about what that means to be able to answer your question well. Is it like weird electricity or electrical anomalies, or?
They'll go through and do like a base reading of the home, like go near the walls, the light switches, the electric outlets, appliances, to see if that is emitting any kind of electronic or electromagnetic field. Because a lot of times that's where people feel funny, they feel weird, their body's picking up on that. So then they do those measurements to make sure that it's not electronic or something that's causing that feeling.
Oh, okay. Well, all of the investigation crews that came in did have EMF readers. So are those ones that have the colors like green to red?
K2 meters is, I think, is what they call them.
What do they call?
K2 meters.
Yeah, that sounds right. I guess I believed the house was, and we saw spirits, and we're able to identify them in pictures from, historical pictures and things like that. So that is how I guess I believe that it was. Does that answer?
So, Annie, what's your background? You said you grew up Catholic, but what line of work were you in? Have you been in?
I am a writer. I am a writer.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
And you've always been a writer?
Yeah. Even when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a writer. I knew that's what I wanted to. And I worked at Llewellyn Publishing. We moved into the house in 94, and I think I started there in 98 or 99. But at the time, Carl Llewellyn Weschke was not into ghost books. We published a lot of metaphysical topics, but so it did not occur to me to propose a ghost book to them. Then at some point in the early 2000s, the acquisitions director asked me if I wanted to write a book. And I'm like, yes. I mean, I was so thrilled to have a job as a writer because I always wrote. And I did try selling like articles and things when I was in my 30s. But to be paid to be a writer was just such a thrill for me and so satisfying. So I had given up on the idea of writing a book because I didn't think I had the discipline. At the time I did have teenagers and I was doing foster care as well and a full-time job. So I was pretty busy, but she asked me if I wanted to write a book and I was like, yes, I do. And I was so excited. And she said, would you write a book about crystals? And I'm like, ooh, I don't know anything about crystals. I mean, I could do research, but I said, I live in a haunted house. And she's like, well, write about that. So that was how my book came out. That was how my book got signed. And then, yeah, I did growing up Catholic. I think, Ken, that is one reason why the thought of spirits and ghosts in the spirit world was really familiar to me, because in at least in the 1960s in the Catholic Church, like we prayed to the Holy Ghost, until Vatican II. We had saints that we could pray to. We had guardian angels. I mean, we had little, like our plates for the light switches had guardian angels on them, guardian angel pictures. We had saints that you could pray to for specific things. And when we got in the car, I feel like we prayed to St. Christopher for a safe trip. So to me, this unseen world of, people, personalities, angels, whatever, was just part of my life. And all the adults that I cared about believed in it. I went to a Catholic school for 1 year. So it was not a stretch to believe in ghosts.
Right.
Okay.
Would you today classify yourself as more spiritually minded, still practicing somewhat Catholicism, or none whatsoever?
Well, I consider myself spiritual. I would say my path is outside of mainstream religion now, but I have great respect for any religion or any spiritual path that really helps people understand the divine and just be a kinder, better person. So that's how I would characterize it now. Yes, being raised Catholic has informed my writing and my sensibility.
Okay. Annie, when you finally packed up and moved out in 2019, did any of your spiritual allies or residential entities follow you to your new place?
No.
Okay.
And I actually asked that question at the end of Houses, Spirits, and Whispers, which came out in 2005, because they were going to put high density housing kitty corner for me. And I was just like, oh, I don't know. But I thought about it then, and I did not think that the house spirits would come with me because they were attached to the house. And they did not. And to be honest, I was kind of hoping I would get some visits at least, but I have not. I do have the seed poster door. I was going to try to sit in front of it for this interview. That's the door that is associated with the Spirit Sisters, the old-fashioned spirit girls. But I would have had to pull a desk down from upstairs, and I'm like,
Not worth it.
No. And I have the coffee can safe where Leon had all of his money and important papers. I have his old telephone, old black rotary telephone that was there when we bought the house. I have had dreams about my house, lots and lots of dreams, but I did when I left, again, because I was so enmeshed with that house and that property, and I loved it so much. I just was like, I have to sever ties because it is now my friend's house. Like, I can't be always longing for it and wishing I were still there. But going through my books and things for this interview, I just remember how much I loved that period of my life. So when
do you still live in the area?
I live now about an hour away. I used to, after Dudley and I left the house, and I call him Levi in my book, I think, but on my Facebook page, I refer to him as Dudley. And he was the love of my life. I miss him too. There's just so much period that is gone. But we moved to a town called Red Wing after we left Hastings, and it's farther still down the Mississippi River from the metro, Twin City, Minneapolis, St. Paul metro. And so we got this beautiful, amazing Victorian for much less than we would have had to pay if we were closer to the cities. And our plan was to buy this. It was huge. It was beautiful. I could not believe that we could buy was to turn it into an Airbnb, because Dudley had made great strides since his stroke, and it was something we could do together. And I said, give me 3 months to get unpacked, these 200 boxes, And then in March of 2020, we'll open our Airbnb. And that's when COVID was like,
Oh, wow.
so then we could not do an Airbnb. I stayed in that beautiful house, and I was going to tell you there were a few ghosts in that house, but nothing like my house. And they didn't really interact. I saw two girls and my mom who moved in with us during COVID who can see spirits much better than I can. She saw children on several occasions, and there was something off about the staircase, one stair on the staircase. Dudley and my mom both tripped on it going up, and I tripped on it coming down the stairs. So, but yeah, I sold that, and I wanted to get back up to the cities, and I wanted a smaller house because it was so huge, and without a purpose for a house that huge, it's just.
All right. I think this is a good spot where we can play some of your audio clips.
Awesome.
Staying with the house, the home, the 25-year story that you've got. The first clip is see my home. That was quick. What did we hear? What are we hearing?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Right, asking friends. Well, I always thought it was See My Home. And so this was caught, these first 6, if you play all 6, were caught by the Northern Minnesota Paranormal Investigators. They were one of the first, I don't think any of the groups that came through are actually still doing this, but they were one of the first to come through my house after the book came out. Nobody knew about it except my friends before the book came out. But they sent me these, and I was happy because I'm like, oh, See My Home. It sounds like, somebody's proud of this house the way I'm proud of it, one of the past owners. And then other people thought it was Leave Me Alone, which I still have not heard in that, but I hear See My.
Play it again. We'll see what Ken and Maria think.
It could be.
Go ahead, Maria.
It really can. It could be either. EVPs are kind of suggestive as well. It's kind of like song lyrics. You're going to take it however you hear it, whether it's what's really actually being related to you. But yeah, it could be either one.
Ken, one more time. What are you thinking? Feeling
I can
both?
hear both See My Home or Leave My Home.
Oh, Leave My Home. Yeah, Leave My Home makes more sense to me than Leave Me Alone. It's kind of a Rorschach, whatever. I'm pronouncing it wrong. Ink blot test.
Rorschach.
Okay. Second clip. Kitchen Help Me. One more time. What's going on there, Annie?
And this is really weird because I had not listened to these for a long time, but I thought it was just one Help Me. But when you played it right now, it sounded like 2 or 3.
One more time. I mean, honestly, I don't give a shit what it says. The fact that if I'm out there and I'm detecting or hearing some type of disembodied, I'm like, okay, you got my attention. I'll worry about the translation later.
Right. Well, I was going to say.
Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I'm sorry. Were you going through a tumultuous? Was there something traumatic that had just happened or had been happening in your life at that time?
No. No, those were some of the happiest.
So before this happened, yours was just, ordinary, normal, everyday stress stuff, and nothing overly.
Right. That's a good question. Yeah, no.
Very good.
I was going to say that when they captured this, they were one of the first groups. I don't think that they could hear anything at the time when they were sitting in the room asking questions. These were the things that, when they play back, they could hear. But by the end, when paranormal groups were coming in, a lot of them could. Sorry, my cat has got the zoomies, so I'm like, what's going on? By the end,
you're a cat person?
Yep. And a
Oh,
dog person, and a deer, and rabbit, and owl person. I love all creatures except the big spiders that are right outside my door. But I respect them. No, by the end, the paranormal groups could literally often hear the voices in real time. So I don't know if the house was becoming more responsive. One paranormal group that I really, really liked were, well, I liked all of them, but one thing I liked about them was they typed up a like 4-page report, and they said, so I was taking Dudley's dog for a walk during their part of their investigation, and the lead investigator wrote, it seemed like when you left the house got nervous, like the house didn't know how to react, like it was not as stable. She was an energy person, so I thought that was kind of cool, kind of unusual. It was very thought provoking. That's what I loved about living in a haunted house. There were just so many things to think about and explore and new experience.
Well, you're
You're not-
talking about energy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you when you were talking about being Catholic and you have the saints and the Holy Ghost and Virgin Mary and everybody else you're talking to, why can't you talk to the rest of the spirit world?
Mm.
You know,
Yep.
go ahead, Ken.
Kenneth.
You were talking about the energy healer said that you know, because you weren't there, or your energy brought something to it. You've got a very serene sort of interview style personality. There are people that I've interviewed, and I want to be really nice with this, but they're very flaky. They're very artsy, and you know, I'm part artist too. You know, I have both sides of my brain where I love art, I'm creative, but I'm also left brain as well. You just have this sort of you have a real sincerity. So
Annie, this goes back. I'm glad you brought that up, Ken, because I don't know how we could. Well, I do know how we connected. I saw a show on like travel or back in the day. It was the trucker. I mean, and when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, this is cool AF for the kids out there."
Yeah.
But yeah, Ken, you're saying it right. I mean, she just it's sincerity. I mean, it's genuine and sincere to me.
very genuine.
I don't think she's blowing smoke up our.
No, she's got a peaceful. Her energy, it just comes across serenely. There are people that come across trying to get a point across. She's not trying to do that. She's just saying what her experience was, and feels good about it. Now, I have a question. 10 years ago, which podcast of the many thousands of podcasts, Kevin, that you have produced was that for?
That's a great question. I was doing Shooting from the Lip, and I had just met Tiffany. And it was the fact you said 2016, I had just met Tiffany because Tiffany lives in Louisville as well. I met her through Facebook or whatever, and she and I just wanted to do something. So at that time, it was still Shooting from the Lip, but she and I did like our paranormal thing, and we called it the KT Unearthly. Anyway,
that's what I thought.
That's not as cheesy as the inhale exhale that you use.
Dad, you need to watch your tone with me.
I think
Maria. Inhale, exhale with Kevin Hale is hell yeah. What are you talking about?
I love
it. And you heard it first. That's going to be the big thing that takes off. Inhale, exhale.
Where can I listen? Where can I watch? Is that
you can inhale it on these channels next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel. No,
so
I'm sorry. Finish your. Go ahead.
I have a question, and I don't mean to get personal. It sounded like you said something. So you've had a trying. This gentleman you were speaking of, is it Dudley?
Dudley.
Am I saying that right? Dudley.
Yeah.
Is he still around?
He passed away in 2021.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a tough time. Let's see. I don't want to get too far away from the topics that your listeners care about. But yeah, it was very tough because we did view the entire experience of his stroke. He had a hemorrhagic stroke, the kind that usually kills people, but he was a tough dude and he survived. And I actually feel like he came back, because I have many friends who are psychic mediums through my work and through hosting these events at my house. And I called one of them when they had to put him in an induced coma while they drained the excess fluid out of his brain. And he was supposed to come out of it within a couple of days, and he wasn't coming out, and they didn't know why. He was at a really excellent hospital. And I called Linda Cora. She has since passed away. And I said, can you please tune in to Dudley and see what he needs from us, if there's anything we can do that will help him. And she knew Dudley. She didn't know, I never wrote about his family or anything like that. But she had met him once or twice. And she said, okay, and she was excellent. She was so good. She said, you need to calm yourself, because you guys are so connected, and you are so like crazed right now that I won't be able to reach him unless you calm yourself. And when she said that, hope this isn't getting too far off the topic, but I was like, I created in my mind I don't know why, but like a blue rectangle that had nothing in it. And I ended up using that construct many times through the next 5 years to help with stress and with feelings of hopelessness or, fear. Money, everything got just messed up. But so I did. I looked at this blue square. I thought, Linda is communicating with Dudley. We will know what he needs. It gave me like a space to be safe and to just focus. Dudley's going to be okay. And so when she got done, she called me and she said, well, he is in a beautiful place right now. She said, he's so evolved. And I'm like, I know. Everybody could tell. He was a gorgeous, peaceful hippie dude who loved the outdoors. And so then she said, he's trying to decide if he wants to come back. And I'm like, what? Like, of course he does. We're soulmates. We love each other. And she said, no, she said, if he comes back, your life and his life are going to be very different. And she said, if he comes back, and then I just realized I'm going to not tell part of the story because it's too personal for other members of the family. But she said, so that was it. And she verified what his concern was and why he would come back. It was someone he was concerned about being okay. And she said, he loves you. He loves you. She said, you guys are like this. She said, but he's not worried about you because you will be okay. And I was like, a little bit like, But anyway, so then we got off the phone. I just sat there and I'm like, Dudley, I told him how much I loved him. And I said, he was in the hospital. I'm at my house. And I'm like, I am asking you to come back. If you come back, I will take care of you, whatever it takes. Because I would like to have more time. But if you choose not to come back, then I still love you and I will see you when I'm in the spirit world, And he came out of the coma. It wasn't like, oh, I'm awake, but he did come out of the coma. We got 5 more years together, which we both treasured. Our life was completely different, but we got 5 more years. And so.
It's awesome.
That's beautiful.
Yep. I know. Annie, I hate to say this, but all that sweetness is literally giving me a cat.
Far from the hauntings and the spooky.
We digress. Hey, relationships, family, true love trumps everything, right?
Annie, do you listen to or study Dr. Joe Dispenza's Manifestation and Consciousness and sort of work on that kind of level? He deals with a lot of meditation.
I'm not familiar with his, and that probably reflects poorly on me. But yes, I completely believe. That used to be a skill that I could envision something and make it happen. Well, that sounds concluded.
Oh, that sounds like a superpower, Annie.
Yeah, no, yes. I want it to be right. I feel like I'm good at knowing what I want and doing the stuff and the universe cooperating or helping or whatever. So that is kind of how I've lived my life. And actually, there were a couple of years after Dudley passed away that I felt like that part of my experience being alive was gone. Like I couldn't do that anymore. And I also felt like my imagination was crushed. And that was like, ooh, this is going to be a long, however many years I have left, because if I don't have my imagination and I can't, kind of, I don't want to sound conceited, because it's not conceited. I just feel like before anything can happen in the world, you have to envision it. Like you want to have a podcast, like, and then you do everything from here. But I feel like at some point, often if it's supposed to happen, the universe kind of kicks in or gets involved. Like there's other entities coming in that are helping this manifest. So that is kind of how I live. I'm not sure. What is the name of the fellow that you mentioned?
Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is really big in manifestation. He healed his body from a terrible wreck. When you look at the events and seminars he puts on, it's like a giant church, but he's very spiritual. He believes in manifestation. They have people who have countered people from the other side. And when you brought up how you envision with the blue for that, it just reminded, you seem to be that type of grounded, structured, spiritual person. There are people who are not as grounded as you, Annie, and you've got this genuine authenticity that feels very, I was curious about that. Very sorry. You were very blessed to have many, many years with someone that you could be a true partner with. Kevin, he actually was dealing with some stuff with me where he was trying to manifest a really awesome girlfriend, and then he met Maria, and then
Oh, wow.
I love Maria. She's awesome.
So the funny part is, with
So
this story-
clearly facts are optional on this show, right?
yeah, exactly. So the funny part about this story is that I met Ken and Kevin for the very first time in the same night.
Well, Ken, I'm gonna mute your mic. We're getting some feedback from you.
I'm sorry.
Brother. No, I don't know. Do you, for the record, Ken? Do you remember when we had this? Is your mic on right? Is it through the mic or not the camera? And you're muted, so I can't hear you.
He did that on purpose.
Exactly.
We're going to cut this part out.
Yeah,
I've got
no,
two
this
cats.
is this goes on our blooper reel.
Okay.
Ken,
Well,
we have
I'm
to
gonna
have
let
a
my
blooper
cats
reel.
inside. So hang on just a
Y'all
minute.
can do your cat, and this is a recording. So if you gotta go to the bathroom or whatever,
Kevin, is that better? Because I
Yes.
switched. Okay, I switched it once again. Ken bloop.
That's another Ken blooper.
I
Ken,
bloop.
you keep making the blooper reel.
I
bruv.
do. I make that same blooper reel.
I want to hear the story of is it Maria? Yes, sorry. So I want to hear the story of how you all met on the same night.
Yes, you do want to hear this story.
Well, we'll let Maria.
Let Maria tell it.
You brought it up the story.
Let Maria
that
tell
we
it.
met. You're
I
on
brought it
mute.
up.
Oh, go ahead. You share the story.
So Kevin and Tiffany had the show Universal Secret, which I didn't know anything about until they came onto KGRA network, which that was where a lot of us single, worthless people that didn't have a
Paranormal
life,
platform.
that
Yeah.
tuned in. So they had contacted the compound, which was at Tiffany's, and Tiffany invited me to come because I've done paranormal investigating and I've done several things like that. So anyway, Kevin was supposed to be there at like 3:00 in the afternoon, and he doesn't.
No, hold on. No,
like
hold
9.
on. I had been there a few nights already because it was a kind of a week, like Thursday through Saturday event.
Okay.
So I'd already done my penance
So he was
for the
tired.
first hungover. Bad.
Hungover, bad. So, anyways, he invited Ken to come and watch and everything, and that's where I met both of them personally at the same time. I don't know if that's a good thing or if it's a bad
What do
thing.
you mean you don't know if it's a
we're
good
gonna find
thing?
it
Here
out.
we are right now. What do you mean? It's not
We can see how this works out.
So how
Why
long
do
have
I?
you had this show? Like a year? Or how long have you had this show still on Explained Files?
We've been
February.
working
Actually,
on
it's
it
recent.
since,
It's relatively
but we've
Oh.
been working on it, pre-production since October of last year.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Kevin,
because Ken, but Ken wants this to be the most perfect show, we didn't start until when did we start this show,
Right.
Ken?
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
I say that with love,
We probably
but in fairness,
we probably started originally in March, and then we scrapped those episodes. If
Yes,
you
we did.
remember,
We
You know,
scrapped what,
and-
10?
no,
at least 6.
Yeah, well, at least 6.
it
but
was a
like
couple.
short
It was
we were
only
gonna
a
do.
couple. It was only.
Was it only a
Anyway,
couple?
let's get
Anyway.
back to the story, people.
Okay.
Okay, go back to the story.
Go back to what story are we talking about?
The love
I don't
story.
even know. Love story.
Our love stories, yes.
Our love story. So yeah,
And
but here's the thing. All right, you know what? Let's go down memory lane. You want to open the door, Maria? You just kind of set that.
Open the door.
Yeah, let's do this. And let's get Annie's
Open the
input.
door.
Let's get Annie's input.
Open the door.
So we met the present company here. We met at Tiffany's event, and Maria we were doing podcasts, and Maria was like, she's like a groupie. She came on and she kept like, who's this Kevin guy? Who's this Kevin guy?
me
Not-
and like 10 other men that were in that group.
No, and women.
Anyway,
And women.
was there?
And women. So
Make yourself feel better.
And then a few weeks later, after that event, I'd known Maria through the shows, and she invited me to come down to her place. When I went
After
to her
Tiffany.
place, after Tiffany, your place, Maria, there's something there, because when I showed up, I could feel like there was a third something else.
Or 4th or 5th.
Yeah, there, and you acknowledge there. You've got some energy in your home, in your acreage, which is what 70 some. I was there the other night or a few weeks ago, and you take me to your back 70 acres and to the place where a little girl. Bring us all home.
I did not take you to her grave.
Well,
Or her
close.
Not that close.
All right.
Annie, to
took-
give you some extra feedback. Maria
Uh-huh.
is an empath. She's very sensitive.
Okay.
She doesn't think she is, but she is.
She is. She really.
She cares a lot about people. She's a caretaker in a lot of ways, and she really cares. And that's what I love the heck out of both of them, because when you get them together, the comedy just rolls.
Yes.
It
You
just
guys are a good
rolls.
team for sure.
They really are a good team.
All of you, the 3 of you. I mean, as a podcast team. I'm not calling you a football.
Ken's the redheaded stepchild. We abuse him quite
No.
often.
They abuse me often.
Ken is yeah. All right, let's bring this back. I do have to ask one more skeptical question. Over 25 years, human memory and perception naturally evolve. How do you rule out confirmation bias when interpreting everyday household disturbances as paranormal spiritual?
I
You're okay to say no comment, and we can move on.
No, I want to give you an honest answer. I guess I just had such a variety of experiences, and there were so many experiences, and there were some spirits who were there more. I mean, the house spirits, there were 2 main ones. The spirit sisters. I saw 2 sisters twice, and 1 sister on 2 or 3 other occasions. And then Leon, of course. But there were so many experiences, and I had, after my book came out, I had so many requests from people to tour my home, and by that time I was feeling more confident. I think that I was also involved with Dudley around that time. But anyway, I knew my neighbors, and I was like, okay, so I started offering haunted tea parties, because it was a Victorian house, and it has had a very feminine vibe after I got done with my decorating and stuff. And there were so many things that happened during the tea parties. I put on my tea party invitations the house spirits are invited to every party. However, they have free will. They may or may not come. But literally, I think we only had one party in the 10 years or so that I offered them. They were from May through October, where something didn't happen. People were capturing things on their phone. They were hearing things. The chandelier would move. The light on the seat poster door would go off and on. And then I had so many repeat guests that I started another event business, and that was Annie Wilder's Spirited Schoolhouse. And for those, so the tea parties, I led a tour, literally from the dirt room all the way up to the attic, telling the ghost stories that had happened in each. And then for the Spirited Schoolhouse, I invited in psychic mediums who would do spirit messages. I had a guy who did dowsing. I had a feng shui one, tarot readers, crystal ball reader. He was really good. So we did seances for a while, and then I had to quit because we were hearing, I mean, they were very popular because, and I knew the couple that was she was the medium and he was like the support person. They were married, but we could hear voices during them. I mean, like we sat in a circle and the voices would be out in the hallway or in the kitchen. And then Linda, my friend that I asked to contact Dudley when he was in a coma, she called me and she said, Annie, Leon reached out to me and he loved her. She was his favorite, I think because she was Catholic and he had been Catholic, and he seemed to like women with dark hair. I mean, kind of 60s vibe. But she said that he reached out to her. He's a spirit, she's a medium, and asked her to ask me to stop doing seances because it was bringing in more than he could deal with. And so we stopped doing seances. So I feel there were just the volume and the paranormal groups and everything they captured. I feel that the volume of and variety of experiences captured and witnessed and experienced by so many people makes me feel very confident though.
And let me ask you a question, going back to one thing you said. You said that you saw apparitions. Did you ever get a chance to photograph an apparition or something of that nature, just video, photograph, or anything?
I did not photograph anything. I actually didn't have a cell phone until I don't even remember when I got one. The paranormal groups that were there did. And one of the best pictures, I'll have to go back and see, because I just looked through all my old blog posts and it wasn't in there. Oh, it's on a video. I can send it to Kevin. So I know a guy that I rode on the same school bus with, who's in my neighborhood. He had a TV show here in the cities, and they would come out at Halloween and do TV shows. Well, one of the paranormal groups had gotten a picture in this round mirror that was outside my bedroom. It was like a dressing table mirror, and it looked like an old-fashioned man. And where I'll have to go back and look is to see if it was the same group that got the picture. But there was one group that I knew some of the people in it, so they came probably 3 or 4 times altogether, and they were doing a shack hack, the thing where it talks back. Yes, it's in the video, so you guys can see what happened for yourself. Anyway, there's a historical man in my town named General Leduc, and he, there's a Leduc mansion, and anyway, the guy who owned my house at the time the general lived was a grocer in town, and Leduc's job was procuring rations or foods or something for the troops. So presumably they were both upper echelon citizens, so that they knew each other. But my friends who did the TV show posted a picture of the ghost in the mirror, a side by side, which is something that I don't know how to do, with Leduc, and it looks like the same guy. I don't know. That was the most dramatic picture, ghost picture. Trying to think. I mean, I usually got reports from people, but I don't know if I have any other pictures.
Mm-hmm.
What happened with me was there were two of the house spirits where I saw them, and I'd only seen one other ghost before I moved into that house. But when I saw them and saw pictures of them when they were alive, I was able to identify who they were. Leon was
Mm-hmm.
one. And I got a picture of him shortly after we moved in from a neighbor. And then the spirit sister took longer to find, but I did get pictures. And I eventually met her family, her descendants. And they gave me pictures, and it totally confirmed that that's who I saw. She even had the same aloof expression. I think it was just the way her bones were, but it was just this very aloof. And even as a little kid, she's got that. I think I have these pictures in my the new edition, the second edition of House of Spirits and Whispers. So the one that is available now should have pictures of the spirits that I saw.
When Ken asked you if you had a cell phone or pictures of that you've taken yourself, contrary to belief, when you're living in a haunted house, you don't have a camera going all the time, and you're not taking pictures. And you even if you saw something, by the time you got your phone open to get the camera going, it's over with.
Well, and actually, thank you, Maria. And when you said that, it reminds me when we first moved in. And remember, I knew before I bought it that I felt there was the old man's ghost was in the house. But I told people, do not take a picture. I don't want to see the ghost. I mean, in my head, this is what was part of the fun, to always figure out based on what was going on. But in my, I told people, like, I don't want to see the ghost. I knew his wife was in a nursing home in the state where the daughter lived. And I thought, he's probably waiting till she crosses over, and then, they'll go to heaven together. And the house was so still and so quiet that I thought maybe he thought this would be a quiet, familiar place to hang out. And that's like I said, move in with my kids. And I'm like, oh, probably. And we had 3 cats at that time, Kevin. We had 3 cats. So I thought maybe he,
I just heard him sneeze 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So anyway, but that wasn't why he was. And anyway.
So Annie, you moved across town, and so far no activity at all, and you live alone. Is that correct? No kids in the house, or?
Yeah, I live an hour. Well, now I live a half an hour from Hastings, but
Hastings. Okay.
Yeah, no, nothing in this house. And I am actually, I loved living in a haunted house. I'm okay living in a non-haunted house. It's easy, but it's not as I do love my house because my yard I have a small house, which is what I wanted. Really easy to take care of. Central air for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
6 window air conditioners in the big house down in Red Wing. That was a clean.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
And we still had like several rooms that were hot as could be because they didn't have an air conditioner in the window, and it was very loud. But I have in my backyard, I have oak trees that are 200 to 300 years old.
Wow.
That is my store. I'm here for the trees. I've got
Love it.
river birch that is the same age, a silver maple that is grand, just owls, wildlife, frogs, toads. I mean, everything. It's exactly what I wanted. And it's like, yeah, you got exactly what you wanted. I wanted to learn more about nature spirits. And here I am in the perfect place for that.
Well, I've got the perfect place for you to come visit anytime you want.
Awesome.
Right now, as you're talking about owls, I can hear them in the background. The microphone's not picking them up, but there's.
Well, I offer the same invitation to the 3 of you if you're ever in the cities.
Annie, how far are you from New Orleans?
I don't know. I'm in Minnesota.
Oh,
New
you're
Orleans,
still. Well, I thought you'd moved further. I don't know.
No.
Down south.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
You're still.
No,
Okay.
when I said down to Mississippi, I'm sorry. I just meant a half an hour down.
So, Annie, how far are you from Paisley Park?
Oh, that is probably an hour away. Maybe.
Is that a
maybe
Prince reference?
That's
there,
a Prince
Ken?
reference.
And I did go there. I was actually in the Prince movie. Me and my sister, we were extras.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Well, which movie are we talking about?
Purple
Purple
Rain.
Rain.
Purple Rain?
Yes, Purple-Rain.
Oh,
Love that movie.
throw that in our face. Wow.
We did. I did post a picture on Facebook shortly after he passed away of she and I in our costumes that they told people to wear.
Send that to me, please.
Okay.
Please do.
So bad. I mean, that was the perm hair era and all that. So yeah, we went. We were both there on 2 different days. I mean, we were there together, and then I went one day and she went another day.
Awesome.
But we did on the first night that we were there. There were only like 5 extras, and we did get invited to a party at Prince's house.
Oh,
And-
Did you go?
No, because I was married not to Dudley. This is the father of my kids, and he would not have been happy about it. And I had the car, so Kate couldn't go either. Sorry, Kate.
I don't know. That sounds like that would have been worth a divorce right there.
No offense.
Partying with
I mean,
Prince,
it is
sorry.
Prince, right?
It is Prince.
It is.
All right, let's do this. We've got some more audio files to play. I want to play these before because I'm way behind on my segments, and we're like past the 60-minute mark. Are you, Annie? Are you hard stop? Do you need to
No,
stop at a certain? Okay.
Another half hour.
All right, we'll keep going for a little bit. All right. So this one, what is this? Number 4, Ghostly Whisper. One more time. I hear something.
Was there a
Chat-
leave me
chat me
alone at the end?
Chat me up, Annie. What is that? What
There
we
was,
hearing?
okay, so that one, I described this as like a ball of snakes. Like, and I don't know, I might be able to reach out to the guy who recorded it. I think his wife is a friend of my Facebook page. But again, this was like 20 years ago now. I don't know if they originally recorded them all tapped together and then they stripped them out, because one of them is either See My Home or Leave My Home. One of them, but the thing that's really cool about that one is the whisper, which comes a few seconds in, that's underneath all of it, and it says, we've become who you are. That's my interpretation.
Just seemed like there towards the end of it, there was another whisper.
One more time for Ken and Maria.
I heard 2.
Okay, what did you hear?
I heard 2.
What did you hear, Ken?
The first one was it was harder for me to tell. The last one I couldn't tell if it was a audio voice from the other room. It was standard communication. I have to hear it when I listen to EVPs. When I worked at a facility here in Louisville, and we had people come in. We had a scientist. He was a physics guy, Jason, and Jason was our tech guy. So we would go over EVPs 40, 50 times, and we would slow it up. We would turn it up. We would remove other background noise. We would take background noise from the location, then mix it in, get rid of it, and you could hear things. This one's a little harder. I have to hear it more, but I did hear 2 different distinct whispers with a third, which I'm pretty sure was probably one of the audio guys communicating. So I need to hear it quite a few more times. But
I'll send the
one
files to you, Ken.
Yes, but the one coming up when we hear that, I definitely heard what you said that was on there for sure. I think it's the last one.
One more time. Ghostly Whisper.
I hear the
that-
distinct leave me alone at the end.
Yes, I heard that time, but I hear this female, it sounds like a female
It
or
does.
a child or like something like that, but I can't tell 100%. But I definitely hear something.
All right, keeping up. Listen, next one, EVP Jack.
What's your name?
Silence. What did we hear there?
Jack is his name, which
No,
I
I
love.
heard that.
Yeah.
That was a clear. That's what confuses me. It was so clear. It was almost like someone in the other room saying it. I did that for sure. So if there was no one in the other room, I heard
No,
Jack
I trust
is
this
the name.
team. Yeah, I trust this team. They were Iron Rangers. So Minnesota has the Iron
Okay.
Ranger. It's real down to earth, hardworking people. And yeah, I do believe that. I looked on so the thing I thought was funny is the woman ghost or spirit saying Jack is his name, like helping the man instead of just telling what her name is, because they might have been talking to her. But oh shoot, what was I going to say with this? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't remember. There's a truck turning around in my driveway and I got distracted. Yeah, I did, and this is it. I looked through the title, and there were at least a couple of owners of the property named John. So I don't know if anybody went by Jack, but that was as close as I could come.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was really helpful to have the title, the deed with all the names.
Did you personally supervise these groups as they were in your home to make sure they stayed respectful?
Great
Yes.
question. Great
Yes.
question.
There was only one where I did not, and I regretted it.
Yes.
That was one of the last ones I ever had in there. I was watching their video on YouTube, and somebody had jumped over the couch, like stood on my couch and jumped over it to do something, and I just was like, I was very unhappy.
Mm.
Yeah.
The rest of these, I was usually with them while they were doing it, but sometimes they would break up into separate groups. Somebody go in the attic, but I was always there. I found it fascinating.
This is a file that says, "Do not turn me into a book." Do not turn me into a book. I actually have not listened to this yet, so I'm hearing this first time. Ready, go.
I heard that for sure.
That is so clear.
Mm.
That's what
Very
they call it, Class A TVP.
Actually, you bring up I'm glad you brought that up, Maria. What are with these EVP? What are the classifications? You just said it. What am I hearing? Or at
A
what
Class
level?
A, the Class A is when you have absolutely no doubt whatsoever it's saying.
Okay.
That was a Class A.
That was a Class A. So also, whenever I'm always curious, when you get a Class A EVP like that, did they also hear it disembodied as well?
Mm.
I don't think they did. Because it was towards the end of the period of paranormal investigators coming to my house, and it ended after Dudley Store because it just had to stop everything, tea parties and all. But it was towards the end when people were coming up, from the dirt room. That's where the money was buried. With like, we could hear it. We heard it in real time, and so a lot of the investigation groups, at least in the early days, and I am low tech Annie, they didn't listen to all this stuff till they got home. Like they spent the whole time investigating and recording, but they didn't like play back the tapes until the next, or whenever they played them back, but not at my house. One group, and I think this might have been, actually, I can't say, I don't remember, but one group had a different approach. This was towards the end though, where they would ask the questions and then they'd come upstairs and play the tape back to see if they could hear anything, because then they would use that to go back and ask more questions.
Right. I think later on they got to where that they would listen live. And if you ever get a chance to do that, you'd be amazed to what you actually capture at that time.
Good point. Good
Then
point.
you can stop it and replay it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm having PTSD from my daytime job here, Annie, because you literally said something that triggered that what I deal with on a daily basis. I'm IT.
Oh, okay. Tapes.
You users don't know you're not technical.
I am
This
not.
is after tonight, Kevin.
I'm like, oh my God.
That's
Just
the
literally,
one pause in the one tape or the one EVP, like 17 seconds. I don't know how to do. Actually, that's good. I figured that's my defense. Like everybody knows I didn't mess with something because I have no idea. I can barely do my phone.
Right. If you'd edit it in between,
Yeah,
to make that shorter or whatever you played, then it doesn't seem as authentic.
yeah.
But you can play that whole thing and then later on loop out what you want to. But as long as you have that one full
Original.
product
Yes.
to go back to, it's always good.
Yeah.
all right. We're almost 90 minutes in. Oh, it's good stuff. So let's keep going. Annie, if spirits exist out of time, are we dealing with the souls of the deceased, or could these entities actually be interdimensional travelers or temporal slips breeding into our reality? That's a lot
All
of
of the above.
shit there.
All of the above. Because
All the above.
I believe, so in my house where I lived for 25 years, I had a dream, and I got information in my dreams. I don't know if you're like this too, Maria, but since you are an empath, but like I got in a dream, I learned that someone in my family that was very loved was going to be passing away in 1 week. And I was terrified, like who's it going to be? It turned out it was my great aunt. And it was my grandma, her sister, who gave the message in the dream. And other people in my family have gotten dream messages too. So in this particular dream, I was in my house, and remember it had been turned into a duplex at one point. So I heard something in my closet, my bedroom closet. I got out of bed, I went and opened the door, and I saw two men from the 1950s. And in the 1950s, the room that was my bedroom was the living room for the family that lived upstairs. They said, like, they were scared.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, they said, are you a ghost? And I said, no, I live in your house in the 1990s, or the year 2000, whatever it was. I bought this house. And so I do think, like, it's like, if I can see people from the past, why can't I astrally go back to that time? I also had, do you guys, I'm wondering if I should even bring this up, but well, I'll say it this way, and you can ask me more questions. I worked at Llewellyn. We had authors in town who wrote books on tarot, on, oh my gosh, I don't know, UFOs, magic, things like that. So there was a UFO author in town to do some book events. I invited him to my house. And as soon as I did, I was like, why did I do that? He has so many weird experiences, like spirits. And I had astral beings in my house occasionally that were not human spirits. I don't think they had ever been human. But non-human entities or aliens are a whole different matter to me, because I feel like with the human spirit, I have some framework within which to, have a relationship with them, or kind of. But for something that has never been human, it's a whole different. So this UFO contactee was at my house. I know weird stuff happened in his life, because weird stuff happened to people who dealt. So one of my friends was his publicist, and she got a call on her phone at Llewellyn. I hope they don't get mad at me telling the story, but maybe I'll sell more books. And it came in, it showed up on her phone as her boss. So she said yes. And what came through the phone was an electronic voice, a British, like, robotic female voice. And that is something that Stan had written about in his books, that this voice would call him and warn him of things, or tell him things, or tell him he should do this or shouldn't do that. And so this voice somehow got into the Llewellyn system. It appeared that it was her boss calling her, and said, you have to promote this book. It's really important for the future of humanity, something. And she was so freaked out. They went together to the IT department and said, how did this happen? That was her experience. She also had an experience when she was at a show in Denver, helping him promote the book, where like static electricity, like this sparky energy clicking, something was like building in her room. And there was another Llewellyn author at the same show who did filmmaking, and he met with this guy, the UFO contactee. And when he got home, his phone, he and his wife were sitting in their living room. His phone rang, and it said it was that his wife was calling, but she was sitting beside him, and he picked it up, and it was that same voice, that this robotic female, whatever. English.
Whoa.
So I have them coming to my house, my haunted house. I'm like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Why did I do this?
It's all connected.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it was. So what happened was they had another, it was this fellow and his wife, and then they had another couple with them. We walked through the house. I told them the stories. I was terrified the night before. Nothing happened. They left. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I woke up that night. I felt like I was being pulled out of my bed, and I look, and my cat, Sugar, is being, so this is dumb, but she's being like pulled off the bed, like backwards with her paws out.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, am I awake or am I awake or am I asleep? Because this cannot be happening. And I'm like, I feel like I'm awake. I sit up, I look over the end of the bed because the bedspread is off now. It's on the floor. She's on the bedspread like, what happened? Big eyes. Okay, I'm like, I left the light on. I eventually went back to sleep, pulled the sheets back up the bedspread. Okay, 3 days later, when I'm doing the laundry, changing my bedding, there were tears in the fitted sheet from her cloth. So something happened. I mean, I don't know what happened, but something happened. So these are the kind of things that it's like, okay, I didn't die. I didn't go up in a spaceship. I didn't meet government people. I didn't have men in black come over. But whatever that was, that happened.
And that's where you didn't have your cell phone camera going. You didn't have security camera. It's all those things. It's personal experience completely.
Real quick, Marie, you know this. Amy, you probably don't. It takes a lot. It really takes a lot to convince me. I'm an enthusiast. I'm a fan of the paranormal, but I don't know. I don't buy into everything.
Right.
But one thing that I will concede is that I have a guest or a visitor that comes to me at night, and it's on my bed. I think it's like a small animal or something, because I will be laying in bed and I will literally feel something crawl or bounce on my bed. The only thing my conclusion is it's like a small animal. It's not a child. It's like a small animal.
Yeah.
So last night I'm trying to go to sleep and I feel this present, and it's to the point. This has been with me for over 10 years, and the one known or common denominator is my bed. Where I've been, I choose to live in an apartment, and apartment to apartment, I have this something.
Okay.
So last night I'm trying to go to sleep, Maria. We're past our bedtime at that point. So at 1-ish, I'm literally I feel oppressed, and I'm like, please stop. It to the point now I literally talk to this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, please stop. I want to go to sleep. I'm tired. And this thing last night, Maria, all of you, like bumped up against me to the point where like, whoa, oh, little buddy doesn't want to go to sleep right now. He wants to play. And I'm like, and it was weird. It was like to the point where like, okay, you're here. I get it. But again, I'm an old guy. I need my 6 hours. Let me sleep.
Can you, have you ever reached out to feel like what it might feel
I do.
like?
I talk. I sound like a freaking idiot in the middle of the night because I will talk to this thing.
I was talk to it, yes, and tell it what you want. So did it leave?
Yeah.
It didn't leave. I mean, it bumped up, but then did it leave?
It literally bumped up, and because my grandson was here, he's here with me this week, and I literally like thinking, oh, he's it was my grandson. No, he wasn't. It was something, and literally, I'm not asleep. I'm not. There's not like I'm not dreaming. This has been something that has been with me for, again, over a decade, and I welcome it. But in the middle of the night, I find myself talking to him like, "Let me sleep. I'm not scared of you. We can play another night. I get it. There's something. I think it's a small animal that just wants attention, and I'm okay with that."
That's so interesting. Yeah, I totally believe you. Do you feel? I mean, it might be a totem guardian spirit. Do you think that you have a totem protecting?
I don't know. I'm to the point where I would welcome some type of intervention that would help determine or figure out what's going on. But at the same time, too, I've not felt threatened, or I just feel like this entity just wants to.
It's more whimsical.
It just wants to interact, and I'm okay with that. And there's some nights I'm laying in bed where I'm still awake and it's bouncing around, and I'm literally just putting my hand out. I'm like, brush up again. I'm talking to this thing in the middle of the night. I'm talking to this thing, and people, a third party would be like, "Kevin, you lost your mind." But no, I'm not. I haven't.
Have you felt?
Well, Maria, you've been here. You didn't say you felt something one night here? No, you didn't. I thought you did.
No.
Let's we got to talk trucker ghost, because that is how Annie we connected.
That's a great title.
It is, and you got to check out her books, her everything about this. This is how I saw her on whatever channel, whatever.
Monsters and Mysteries in America.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, question, Annie: are highways and lonely stretches of asphalt modern ley lines that channel spiritual energy, or do catastrophic roadside accidents like leave permanent traumatic footprints in time?
Well, the latter, I believe, is true for sure. I feel that the energy of events changes a place and can be tuned into by people who are empathic, or if it's strong enough, can just be tuned into, can still cause more accidents. Even there's some place where there were accidents all the time for no reason, and I think they had an energy worker come in. I wish I could remember the story. I feel like it was in a different country. But I feel the primary reason that truckers or people on long distance road trips see things, well, if you're driving at night, you're already in kind of a different mindset and a different state. But I think that it's my belief, based on nothing more than it just makes sense to me, is that when you're driving, unless you're in dangerous conditions, and sometimes even when you are, because my story in that book was about driving in a blizzard, but I feel like you get into kind of a zone, like a beta state, or I can't remember which is which, but the one where
almost like meditation.
Like you're alert but relaxed, or you're something that you perceive things that are there, but you don't usually.
We call that highway hypnosis. I used to be a hypnotherapist, and people would lose track of time. They'd get into that theta state. They would get into the delta and then go to theta, and then they would, things would happen. But I think I agree with you. There's something about the mind that opens up at that point when it's like a droning. It's like binaural beats. It just drones and drones and drones, and things start to open.
I agree. And I do think too that, I know when people have, is it seizures or some medical condition that a lot of times they will see something like they'll hallucinate. Maybe it's migraine headaches. I can't remember. But I have a theory that possibly it's not that they're hallucinating per se. It's that their wiring has changed in a way that they are able to perceive things that are there. In magical lore and and superstition as well, like what you see out of the corner of your eye is something that your brain hasn't had a chance to filter out yet, that it hasn't had a chance to tell you that can't be. There's no little thing on my bed, or there's no little roll in the corner or whatever. I mean, the world is so fascinating. That's what's fun about haunted stuff. And yeah, trucker ghost stories. I have to do a shout out. Terry Aldershoff. He was on that show. This one, I think it's episode, it's the Highway 666 one. But Terry was talking about electronic fog, this fog. But he was a trucker, and he was my writing buddy. He wrote the intro to that book. He contributed 2 or 3 stories. We were going to collaborate on a graphic novel, and I'm just kicking myself that I did not make time for that to make it happen. He has passed away. But yeah, Terry was awesome, and that was very fun. They flew me out to somewhere outside of Tucson, and because it was such a quick shooting schedule, they said, well, we're going to be shooting. We're going to fly you out. I think I had a tea party or something, so I had to this really tight turnaround. And she said, can you rent a car at the airport and meet us here? And I said, well, if you add an extra 3 or 4 hours on, because I get lost really easily. And she's like, we'll send a car. So I got to the hotel in some kind of limo, got out, walk over to where they're filming. And some guys that were there were like, are you somebody famous? And I'm like, nope. I said, it wasn't yesterday and I won't be tomorrow. But for right now, hey, I got a limo ride. Yeah, that was cool. Terry is amazing. He's just, so Terry was interviewed on the show. I was more of a commentator. And then they were going to do a show on Blackhead Kid. And as soon as I heard filming, I said, oh, you guys be careful. And then the producers start filming, and that's when they had that part. So, but no, I do think, maybe it is possible. I'd have to learn more about this country to know about ley lines in the U.S. I'm sure that there are sacred sites that the Native Americans were aware of. And perhaps the pioneers, tuned into them when they were crossing the country. That's an interesting question. But generally, I think it's the state of mind that you're in, and especially at night, because there's no other distractions either.
I got a couple questions for your screenplays. When writing screenplays like Gone Song, do you feel like tapping into supernatural themes attracts unwanted spiritual attention back into your creative space?
Gosh, these are such good questions. I do not in this case. There was a manuscript that I read about a haunting that was a very spooky, creepy book. And I was reading chapter by chapter for a friend. And I had a very vivid dream of being attacked by this ghost, this evil entity. It wasn't really a ghost. It had never been human, in my opinion. And I could feel him. I could feel his strength, and I could not fight it. And he was throwing me down a flight of steps. And then when the next chapter came in, it was that. And I already knew about this character because he had been in the earlier chapters, but that was weird enough that I took the manuscript off my computer and put it in the trash can in the computer and then emptied the trash. And I said, I can't read any more of this because it's bleeding through or something. That was really uncomfortable. I can still tell the story, feel like it was just I'm not getting out of this grip. So Yeah, I think things can bleed through. I do, but in this screenplay, I do not feel that. It's been very hard. It's taken me so much longer than I thought it would. Being a writer, I mean, that's what I do. It's who I am. It's what I love. But yeah, it's been very hard. But I'm drawing from my experiences in the house. I'm drawing from nightmares I've had in my life. And actually, when I have nightmares, or like when my kids or friends tell me about nightmares, I'm like, can I write that down in case I can use it at some point? Sorry, every time I make it, I'm knocking my table.
Real quick, in the haunted and the hallowed, you examine the intersection of the sacred and the spooky. Is terror actually a gateway to understanding the divine?
Look at this. I don't have a beard to do this with. I
Like,
no,
what you got going on that chin of yours?
no, that's a chin scratcher. I mean, it seems preposterous initially, but then it's like, well, think about what people do when they're terrified. Oh my God. I mean, you immediately reaching out for like something bigger, some protection. Generally speaking, I would say no. I just feel that I chose that name because I feel that like I'm writing about a variety of topics. I have 5 different sections in that Substack. It's the haunted and the hallowed. Right now, everything's free. I just sign people up if they want to be signed up, and I'm just giving people access to everything. And the
I
jury's
thought
out.
I was special when you gave me access. Are you not? Whoa! You just said you gave people. Whoa! What?
I am.
Calm down.
I am.
Calm down.
WTF?
I might. I'm not sure what I'll do with it. I like it. I want to have it. I want to place for my writing. But the sections are like, there's Ghost at the Tea Table. That's my old blog. It was so posts from that. I have the ghost book that did not want to be written, which is all the stories from 2006 till 2019. So everything that happened after the book came out that I tried 3 times to write a book. I could not write it, so I'm doing it as Substack posts instead. It has peculiar news. That's one of the sections. It has Beyond the Portal, and that is purposeful magical living in a chaotic world. And I want to keep that free because I feel like it's really easy to get discouraged these days, no matter what you believe, I think. And if you're at all sensitive, the polarity and the conflict that's present all the time is just exhausting. And then the final part of that is the final section is Tangled Oak Forest, Inland Sea, because I live in Minnesota. Lake Superior is up north Minnesota. And so I love that area. So right now it's like between my little house in the woods and the beautiful North Shore. Those are the places where my soul feels like safe, happy, appreciative. And so those are things where I don't know if, I think I have written in that category about the owls in my yard and some owl dreams that I've had and things like that. So it's a whole wide range of topics, and I like that. Like I want there to always be not just like what's spooky, but what is the larger meaning of this? Like what are our spirits, like what, all of it. It's all kind of related. So I even want to explore like I feel like with AI, like there's got to be AI ghosts. Like there's a whole, it's just like, I don't know, it's a lens through which I look at the world. So, but Kevin, you are special. You are special.
Okay.
Yeah. He's special.
Yeah.
We call him Special K.
Special
Yeah.
K, right? And was that a cereal?
That is a cereal.
It
Still is.
Okay.
Mhm.
Special. I'll own it. Annie, good stuff. Man, we are arguably, guys, this might be one of the longer podcasts we've done with a guest. Tonight, the information, the conversation just free flowed. It was riffing. I feel like, yeah, I had talking points, but we were just shooting it like
Shooting
we
from the
should.
lips. Wait.
Shooting from the lip.
Shooting
Thank
from the
you.
lip.
She read my mind.
She did. You know what, Annie? Do you have a shooting from the lip shirt?
I do not, and I would.
I'll send you one. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you were part of when you said you did that 10 years ago, that was shooting from the lip. All right, we are winding down. This is my closing monologue. Whether you view ghosts as lingering echoes of human history, interdimensional phenomena, or simply tricksters of human perception, one truth remains undeniable: the boundary between our world and the unknown is far thinner than we like to admit. A huge thank you to our friend Annie Wilder for joining us tonight on Still Unexplained Files and taking us inside a quarter century, it's 25 years for you guys, of living alongside the unseen. You can explore more of her books and screenplays and her Substack newsletter, The Haunted and The Hollowed. Thank you for hooking me up there. By visiting anniewilder.com. As you turn off the lights tonight, pay a little closer attention to the shadows in the corner of the room, because sometimes the things we cannot explain are simply waiting for us. Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching, and reminder, some files remain still unexplained. Good night.